So let's watch this next video.
Because it prospers from conflict. It sets one humble nation against the other. It does not help to remove conflicts. It always creates conflicts. When you look at the conflicts that have existed in the world since 1776, when the USA was formed, the USA usually has a hand in it. When it doesn't have a hand in it, it doesn't work to resolve those conflicts. It works to perpetuate those conflicts because it thrives from conflict. It benefits from conflicts. When the world is divided, it becomes easier to exploit. It becomes easier to plunder. A united people cannot be plundered. A united people cannot be exploited. A united people cannot be made to fight each other and prosper. This is the country that benefits from wars. It prospers from wars. It creates wars as a business to make profits from. It makes profits from wars.
Well, the famous example is the military-industrial complex in the US. They certainly welcome conflicts and wars so they can, sell weapons, ammunitions, and make a profit out of that.
Yes, and they are also linked to the media. They are linked to the politics. They are the sponsors of the politicians. So they have to find conflict all the time. If no conflict arises naturally, they create it so that their industries make more and more money.
And every year the US publish, human rights record on every country but itself. What do you make of that? Some people accuse the US of using the so-called human rights to interfere in the internal affairs of other countries, in particular the countries they are not happy with or they see as rivals. What do you make of that?
The pious arm of human rights that the USA waves all the time is hypocritical. This is the country that has invaded other countries, killing so many people, including children. This is the country that has appropriated the resources of other countries, leaving those countries helpless. Look at Iraq today.
20th anniversary of...
20th anniversary. What is happening to the Iraqi oil money? When Iraq sells oil, all the money goes to the USA. It's the USA government that decides how much to give to the Iraqi government to use. The Iraqi government has to submit a budget to the USA to get its own money after 20 years of that conflict. Is Iraq independent? Is Iraq sovereign? Iraq today is a colony of the USA. This is the country that occupies other countries' territories. For how long have they been there? Been in Guantanamo, on Cuban soil? A small island, the whole country of the USA, a huge territory, they still go and grab a small territory, not very far away from its own country, from its own coast. They have been occupying it for how many years?
Several decades.
The Cubans have been crying, give us our land. The USA does not respect the territory. Can really the USA claim Guantanamo to be their territory?
Right.
You can understand the same behavior in Taiwan. Same behavior. If today China or Russia went and did the same in Hawaii, what the USA is doing with Taiwan, would the USA accept it? They say, do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. Does the USA do unto others as it would like them to do on itself?
This is an interesting perspective of the point here. You mentioned about the equality among sovereign nations. That's an exercise of democracy, based on equal footing and expressing one's wish or one's needs or demands equally in the international community. Do you think there's enough democracy in terms of that respect?
If you don't respect the territories of other people, those territories are occupied by human beings. How can you respect human beings when you don't respect the territories which they occupy? How can you respect a human being when you don't respect the privacy of their home, the dignity of their home? A homeland is something very important to any human being. Every human being on this planet has a homeland. The homeland is their house. It's their home. That's why it's called homeland. You don't just get into somebody's house. You don't just get into somebody's country and interfere. If you don't respect the sovereignty of a territory, you cannot respect the human being who lives in that territory. You cannot claim to be committed to their democratic rights. You cannot claim to be committed to their human rights. What are human rights without a homeland? What are human rights or democracy without sovereignty? When your rights can be trampled on, when your leaders can be toppled anytime, when your leaders can be killed anytime. Look at what they did to Saddam Hussein. Look what they did to Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. Look at what they do to other people's leaders. Look even at the attitude, the arrogance towards other people. They never respect the leaders of other countries.
That China deals with Africa as equal. Well, I do not think so. I do not think so for a second. They do not believe that. We Africans might believe that, but the Chinese do not believe that. Maybe when he goes to China as a high-profile person, they will pull out the red carpet. They will give him the VIP treatment. But maybe he should talk to fellow Zambians who are ordinary people like myself living in China and see how or the kind of perception the Chinese have about us, the Africans. He should ask them. He should ask them. So I just want to make it very clear. China in Africa is not necessarily a bad thing because there are things we need that the Chinese can provide. So I think it's not a bad thing. China doing business in Africa is not a bad thing. But for all the Africans thinking that China is our friend, that China has come to Africa to do friendship with us, we are mistaken. China is in Africa for business and business alone, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. But we Africans should not be confused. We should not confuse one thing with the other. We should all understand this. But you guys out there, what is your take on this whole interview? Do you think that this politician from Zambia speaks the truth? Should we all just let our guard down, thinking that China won't take advantage of us? Let us know in the comment section below because, like always, we love hearing what you have to say. And also, please don't forget to like this video, share this video, follow our Facebook page, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel because little bit of goodwill, like the one you're doing just now, help us a lot and we shall ever be grateful to you. So thank you very much for doing just that. And like always, see you in the next one.